Welcome everyone, Costin here on Serious Gaming with a new discussion video. Microsoft backpedaling on their DRM policies for the Xbox One, their region locking policies, and their used game policies for the machine. That's pretty good news as far as I'm concerned. So, yesterday Microsoft announced that the Xbox One will not have any form of DRM besides an initial online activation for the machine, which the Xbox 360 had as well apparently. That you will be able to do whatever the hell you want with your games, like sell them, trade them in, give them to friends, so on and so forth, and that the machine will not be region locked, which is actually better than Xbox 360 apparently, because the Xbox 360 was region locked. And that's all very, very good news. You know, I was curious to see how far Microsoft would go. I thought that they would go all the way, that they would actually release the machine in this state, and maybe that after the machine came out, after a few months of very bad sales, of Sony kicking the shit out of their asses, maybe then they would take notice and change something. Though you really don't know with Don Matrick. He seems to be in some alternate world where apparently everyone in the world has an internet connection. Right, and people are fine with this kind of DRM on a gaming machine, which is actually worse than any form of PC DRM. Maybe not always online like in Assassin's Creed 2 or SimCity, but pretty close to that. I mean, a PC doesn't just stop working just because you haven't checked online once every 24 hours. And there are a lot of PC games which don't require any form of DRM. Maybe, disk checking, but there's a lot of, GOG games coming out right now. So there's a huge library of games that don't require any form of DRM or require a disk checker, or if you have to use Steam, you can use Steam in offline mode, you can use Origin in offline mode, you can use Uplay in offline mode. So you do have options on a PC. The Xbox One DRM, as it was before yesterday, was actually worse than most forms of PC gaming DRM, and that's a really bad sign. So no wonder people were really pissed at Microsoft for all of this. Now, why did Microsoft cave in, as it were? Why did they backpedal with regards to their DRM policies? Was it because of the massive public outcry against their machine? I don't think so necessarily. I would like to point out before continuing here that there's some Microsoft apologists who are saying this is actually a bad thing, that Microsoft is changing its DRM policies, that it's a bad thing because if they had continued with their DRM policies, we might have gotten something akin to Steam sales on an Xbox One. Well, people who would own an Xbox One would have gotten something like that, and that's not going to happen. I don't buy that argument personally. Just because you have DRM doesn't mean you'll get Steam sales. Hell, nor does the lack of DRM exclude Steam sales. I would like to point out GOG has pretty good game sales. Now, I know there's not many AAA titles on GOG, there's a few of them, but it still has pretty massive sales, even though GOG has a no DRM policy. And that shows that you don't need DRM to actually have sales. The used game market is certainly a concern with regards to console gaming, but still, it just goes on the notion that somehow, if we have DRM, we're gonna certainly get Steam sales. It's just not gonna happen like that. I don't buy that argument one bit. Anyway, why did Microsoft change its tune? The massive backlash certainly was part, but here's the thing. 5 days ago, the Navy Times, which is a pretty major military newspaper, which I assume is read by a lot of active service members in the United States military and retired service members as well, which is also government-owned by the United States government, released a pretty negative article in regards to the Xbox One. Specifically, they focused on how the Xbox One will not be a usable machine for active service members in the United States military. The people who are deployed on military bases or at sea, you know, on aircraft carriers or on ships in general, that it will be pretty much unusable for several reasons. You know, the region locking, the DRM policies that, you know, that require the internet connection every 24 hours, and the connect. The article mentioned that military commanders will not be too fond of having a machine with a device which spies on you pretty much 24/7. They would not be happy about that at all. And they're pretty much right on the money in regards to that. So yeah, there was this pretty negative article. And this is a major newspaper which is owned by the United States government. The reaction by Microsoft came 4 days after this article, where they revealed they would drop the DRM altogether. Now, it doesn't take a genius to put 1 + 1 together and realize that yes, this had a pretty major impact on Microsoft. What I think happened, because Microsoft has a lot of business deals with the United States government, is that someone higher up than Don Matrick and Microsoft woke the fuck up, and somebody had an axe with him. And he started chopping off heads in the Xbox One division until Don Matrick got his shit together and removed the DRM, removed the region locking. We still have the Connect, but that might go as well. I certainly hope so. I'm not gonna buy an Xbox One personally. I have very little incentive to do so. But you know, for people who are interested in playing games on an Xbox One, why the hell would you want to do that anyway? Besides the point, it's some pretty good news. Though I don't think Microsoft has any chance in hell of winning the next console war, the next gen console war. The reality is that yes, they are making some good moves, and that's gonna please some people, but I don't think it's gonna be enough to outweigh all the negative publicity they've gotten so far since E3, or actually since their conference where they revealed the fucking machine. It's gonna take more than that, I think, for them to have a winning chance to actually beat Sony. You know, to take, personally, I think the first thing they should do after this, drop the fucking Kinect. Seriously, no one really wants the Kinect. Not that many people want the Kinect. So, you know, drop it, drop the price. Maybe then. Maybe. But Sony still has a lot of good publicity going with it, and it's still riding high on that wave of good publicity they got at E3. So, yeah, you know, it's gonna take more than that. I do welcome the competition, as much as, you know, having games exclusive to one console or another is annoying to me. I do think competition is important in any industry, and if we don't have because if we don't have competition, we're just gonna get stagnation, and if we have stagnation with console manufacturers, then we might have a console generation which lasts longer than the one which hasn't yet finished, which was over 7 years, which was pretty long. And in the end, everyone will suffer if we have such a long console generation. So I hope it won't be 7 years next time around. And when I say everyone, yes, I do mean PC gamers. You know, one of the good things with the next console generation is how similar they are to computers. And what I think will happen with the vast majority of games is that they'll just scale them up for PCs, and even if they don't scale them, I mean, they're still gonna look pretty good even for PCs. I think that's my impression. I mean, I look at stuff like Watch Dogs, I look at stuff like Division, I look at stuff like Forza, for instance, which I know will never come on PC, but you know, just looking at the graphical quality of all these games, and I have to say they look pretty good. You know, I know Division hasn't been announced for PC, but I kind of suspect Ubisoft will eventually announce the PC version. We'll have to wait and see in regards to that. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Costin here, signing out. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for more.